It's not that people don't want to move, it's just that the math doesn't add up. Half of homeowners under 50 say they feel stuck in their current home.
Yet 47% say their home doesn't feel like them.
And we just, on a whim, decided, let's go home and renovate this house. Let's make it work.
And part of the reason we did that is we looked at what our next step options were.
Yeah.
Interest rates were way too high. They were still going up at that time. We kind of were stuck with it.
So when we first started talking renovations, we had these big plans. We were going to be ripping out the doors.
It got real quick.
Our dreams are really big, okay? But we then really realistically came back from Disneyland and said, how are we going to make this more affordable and make some basic changes in some of the areas that we spend the most time in that we liked the least? The micro upgrade movement is rising. Spending on small-scale home improvements from $500 to $5,000 grew 11% in 2025, even while full remodel spending dropped.
So without fully realizing it, we jumped into this micro upgrade movement that's occurring where people are spending more on finishes and fixtures, smaller value projects. They're gonna have huge emotional wins, but totally changes the feel of a home. What we did at our house was exactly that.
Hey friends, I'm so excited you're here. Thanks for watching my video and make sure to subscribe to our channel. It's Ben and Stephanie from the Broadmoor house, and we're here to talk to you about a project that we just finished. We had a house, we bought it, it was a builder grade house, pretty basic, and we tried to decide if we were going to renovate it or move. We knew it wasn't the perfect house for us. We weren't excited about it. So we decided to renovate it. We're gonna share today what it looked like before, how we renovated it, but apparently we were part of this big national movement that a lot of others are kind of in the same place as we were.
And so we were in a situation that many of you might be too. We were in a home that was just a few years old. We weren't the original owners or builders, but we bought it when rates were lower. And
it had great bones. There's a lot of things that was an upgrade for our house, but there were things that just wasn't quite us.
That's right. And so with the way interest rates are higher, not a great time to sell, not a great time to buy. So without fully realizing it, we jumped into this micro upgrade movement that's occurring where people are spending more on finishes and fixtures, smaller value projects. They're gonna have huge emotional wins that might not be the huge renovation or remodel, but totally changes the feel of a home. What we did at our house was exactly that. So Stephanie, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what this house was to us and why it wasn't our style?
So we really bought this house so that we could have a little more space, had a bigger yard, had more square footage. It had an office. Remember during COVID, we were building our house and we decided to cut the office from our last floor plan because we didn't work from home. And then COVID hit and all of a sudden we needed an office. So this house had a beautiful office at the front. And but as you saw in the walkthrough, it was very white. It was very builder grade. The kitchen was plain white. It had a lot of brick accents, which was not our style. Even the bathroom, the master bathroom had the brick floor, and it felt so wasteful to want to change some of those things because they were beautiful finishes, but it just wasn't us. And so we found ourselves, we bought this house, and then all of a sudden, we were not excited to move into it. And I remember we were debating selling it and not making it our next move. And we just, on a whim, decided, let's go home and renovate this house. Let's make it work. It had great bones, a perfect location. It was in the kids' school district, and we really saw a lot of potential. Do you remember that?
I do, and part of the reason we did that is we looked at what our next step options were.
Yeah.
Interest rates were way too high. They were still going up at that time. And so we kind of were stuck with it. And so, but we also loved where it was in our school district.
But we loved that upgrade that we talked about earlier with the extra space.
Bigger lot, bigger house, great bones.
But we left a house that we designed and loved
Yeah.
to someone else's house that they designed that we realized we liked less after we had purchased it.
So we were trying to take this from farmhouse style to the Broadmoor house, modern, traditional. And that's really kind of the style journey we were on.
So when we first started talking renovations, we had these big plans. We were going to be ripping out the doors, replacing them with huge arched windows, and the kitchen.
Steel glass arched. The most expensive option out there.
Our dreams are really big, okay? But We then really realistically came back from Disneyland and said, how are we going to make this more affordable and sustainable, I guess? So we went through, we cut the big steel windows out, and we decided to, repaint and keep what we had, but just make some basic changes in some of the areas that we spend the most time in, that we liked the least. So I think we really wanted to start out in the kitchen, because the kitchen is the place where we are pretty much every single day. It's a really open floor plan, so you always see the kitchen. And so we stood back and we thought, what can we do with our money that will make the biggest impact with the least amount of money and the least amount of reno impact, really?
The kitchen we didn't want to completely gut it. It wasn't that level of remodel. These are micro upgrades. And so low-hanging fruit relative to cabinets was hardware. And so we immediately hit a roadblock. We wanted to change hardware on all the doors. Well, we already had these long handles
They're like
that would
12
be 2 holes.
12-inch handles.
And so the quote to fill those holes and repaint all the doors properly, spray them, take them off, was astronomical.
It was about $5,000.
At least.
And so by the time you refinish the doors and then get new hardware, that was a huge amount of budget for a small amount of impact.
So we nixed that on the cabinets. You'll see in the kitchen, it's really tall. One thing we considered was the ceiling treatment, but that was going next level. We weren't going to see it. It was above eye level, but we for sure knew we needed to change the backsplash.
It was brick, if you remember. It was very farmhousey, not our style. So you got a chisel and you started at it yourself.
I did DIY the demo, and so that was it was literally a blast, because literally stuff went everywhere. And so I ripped up sheetrock. It was messy. It was bad. We really started approaching it one element at a time.
So we knew we didn't want to replace cabinets, and we knew we didn't want to replace countertops, because those were really big.
Those were
So
big.
we decided to change out the backsplash. We picked a porcelain slab, which, if you know anything about porcelain slab, it's not necessarily less expensive than if you picked marble or tile. You end up with a higher install cost, but we wanted it to look like a slab of some sort, and it was easy to get, and it turned out really pretty.
It was cheaper than marble,
It was cheaper than marble,
but
yeah.
we got the marble look.
We got the marble look, and it was really beautiful. So first off, we decided on the backsplash. We knew that would make a big impact. The countertops were just plain white, and so we really wanted to add that luxurious feel to the kitchen with the stone, and we thought we could get it in the backsplash instead of having to replace the countertops. And that already was a huge budget saver right there.
We had the brick and the white subway tiles, which made it very farmhouse. We wanted to make it more luxurious, so we actually added a porcelain tile on the back. They're big slabs. You can't even tell that they are not real marble slabs, really beautiful.
And so when you step back from the living room and you look into the kitchen, you think, wow, well, if we're not going to change the cabinets, we're not going to change hardware, what are the big changes? So we knew we wanted some focal point changes. We were going to change the color of the hood to a dark color, get some high contrast. We decided to go to the island with a dark color because it was all white. And then we made some little decisions that were manageable. So a trend was reading in the woodwork. And so our cabinet guys were really great. They kind of knifed the little, as they called it, with a machine to make the rounded reeds, but then they field cut them and field fit them inside the sides of our islands and the fronts, but then also the vent hood. And so we did the same treatment on the hood with the reading. And so these were existing little niches or indents that could receive it. And so there was no demolition, it was all additive. Adding the reading and painting it.
So we added that detail, which gave you that kind of that brand new feel. Like, we just built these custom cabinets. Now we have the reading on the ends and the reading on the hood. And then it no longer really felt like builder basic cabinets anymore.
That's right. And so by the time that stuff got in and we had the backsplash, we knew where that was trending. One of the most successful things we did, especially when you look into the kitchen, was we added the same lower backsplash to the top of the cabinets. And so we had under cabinet lighting, we also added up lighting it wasn't, the electrical was simple. We tied it into the switch circuit that was already under counter, and then it illuminated the porcelain we put up above. And that was a massive and monumental change to the kitchen.
Well, that hits another trend that I really wanted. I really wanted a kitchen with marble. I wanted a kitchen with a reading, and I wanted a wall of marble. You know, it's so trendy to not have cabinets on the walls anymore where people are just putting marble along the whole wall and you have kind of this empty space. Well, we knew we couldn't get that in this kitchen, but by adding that porcelain that looked like marble up top, you almost felt like you had that wall. So I really loved that we added that.
I'm telling you, the lights set it
And the
off.
lights,
It was crazy. It was good.
We actually had the guys put lights in a different, like in the side kitchen. So we had them come back, add the lights at the top, and that's when the whole kitchen was really set up. Like it really drew your eye up. It was all been, I was like, I don't know if I would have thought about that.
I was proud of that one.
I was like, dang, it was like a dark hole up there, and all of a sudden it was lit up. It was awesome.
And so, as Stephanie would say, the kitchen still needed some jewelry. We did change out the island fixtures to a modern gold look that was really eye-catching.
I feel like if you're going to change anything in your house, lighting can be huge for a change. Oftentimes when you build a house or a builder grade house, they're very basic lights. I say if you're going to spend money anywhere, good money, spend them on lights. Not to say you can't find really good quality lights on Amazon, because you can. So look there first, but if you can't, I think splurging on lights pays off huge. So we did really splurge on these lights. We thought about it for a long time. We looked for other options, always willing to spend less if we can, but it is that jewelry. And I feel like when you have beautiful lights in your house, you can decorate less. And the design stands out on its own. So I thought we did really good on the lights.
So then there's a few things that connected spaces around the kitchen. Most notably, a little bit of a splurge for us in material selection was the floor. And so we went with a black and white checker marble pattern, so it was marble. And
we used a Carrera and a St. Gabriel Nero.
Right.
And we did it in honed, right?
We did honed,
Yeah,
yeah.
we did
So we
honed,
did
yeah.
not do polished.
We didn't do polished.
Totally different look. And so
It could be super controversial to do marble, but
we learned some things.
we learned some things, and I will say we would do it over and over again with the marble.
Totally.
We can totally get into that another time.
Yeah.
We could probably do a whole video just on why to choose marble for a floor. But one thing that we didn't love about the house was the flooring. The color of the flooring was very farmhouse. It was like a grayish, very rustic, which we were trying to elevate the house and make it feel more traditional and luxury. But we knew that was going to be a huge budget killer, was to change the floors basically all along the first floor, because that wood floor went through the office, the entryway, the main areas. Our bedroom even had it on the floor. So that was going to be a huge part of the budget. So we decided to leave it in the living areas and in our bedroom, because we figured we could put big rugs and kind of distract people from seeing too much of that. But a place that we could not get away with having a huge rug and covering it was in the kitchen and in the entryway. So we, in the end, decided to change the flooring there, which I think saved us money overall than changing out the hardwood everywhere. And we did pick marble.
We did, and it worked out great. We did have to pull out all the appliances. And so, you know, from a standpoint of living in the space, that was the kind of biggest disconnect that we
That was
had.
the hardest.
Everything else could have been done in the kitchen, quite honestly, while we lived there. Even the paint where they, you know, sprayed the island and the vent hood. Yeah, they taped it all off, and it
They
was
partitioned
a cave.
it off. It had like a big cave, but it was only like that
It was
for
a day.
A day, yeah.
Yeah, and so connected to the kitchen was another space that we made some similar changes to elevate it. But how would you describe that pantry office space we had?
I think that's one of the spaces we got really creative with, because like I said, I wanted the luxury with the marble, I wanted the reading, but what's very trendy these days is those back kitchens, those back pantries where you have a sink in there. It's not just a pantry anymore where you open up the door and it's just shelving. It's a kind of a whole experience back there. It's what we called from, what do we call it?
Oh, we had to look up.
Scullery.
We tried to be fancy, And
we got back from Europe and we were like,
we got back
"Ooh,
from Europe, I
let's
think.
name all of our rooms something
What's
very
the back
European."
kitchen called? It's called the Scullery.
Scullery. It's
So-
where you I guess you save or you put like your dishes and stuff. So we called it this, and you had to have the accent. You couldn't just say it's the Scullery. You had to say the Scullery. And even our kids were saying it.
So a couple of things were going on with this scullery or side pantry kitchen thing we had going on. We were trying to transition two spaces. One, there was a pantry, as you said, with the door closing behind the fridge and freezer. We wanted a place to store our junk and close the door, book bags, briefcases, jackets, shoes. We thought that would be great. What a great opportunity to be able to close off the old pantry and hide everything, let it stay messy, but close the door, but invest in a new space for a presentation-worthy pantry.
We changed and we took out the fireplace over here and we added a full wall of storage. We have the sliding doors. Over here, we took out the desk and we added more storage. These big drawers are amazing. I had my shelves right here that were going to be beautiful for display. And then this is our little butler's pantry here. So it was great for our coffee maker, keeping that out of the kitchen. So we could have all of the appliances and things here. We changed the faucet to gold. This was such a fun space here. And it definitely lived up to its name, being the Scullery.
Let's talk about the entryway front door.
So the entryway is always a big deal for me because it's the first thing that people see when they come in. And it had a sliding barn door, had a very cage-like light in the ceiling. It just all felt very cold. Another thing that I really wanted and loved and felt like all luxurious houses needs is a color-drenched room. So we decided to go very rogue on the Broadmoor house style, and we did this blue color drench in the entryway. We tested color after color. I actually got the color. I took a teapot in that I got from Walmart, and it was the perfect blue color. I went into Sherwin-Williams, and I color matched it and picked the perfect color, and they are literally the exact same color, but it turned out so beautiful. We put trim on the walls. I love adding trim on walls because it keeps you from having to put a bunch of art. What are you supposed to do in a big entryway that has tons of white space? A ton of artwork, it just doesn't quite make sense. So we put trim on the walls, which kept us from having to put anything on the walls. And we changed the floor to marble, like we talked about earlier. And it added a brand new beautiful light, and it completely transformed the space. That was so fun. That was a fun part.
So jewelry, we had the light.
The light.
And then we also changed, so the front door connected to the space, we painted both sides. So the before pictures show the front door, the back doors in the living room, a lot of accents on the outside of the house were all a kind of an orange stained color.
Yeah.
And so we painted over all of that, the blue color drench on the inside of the door. Outside of the front door, we did the black. And you got this new door hardware that was gold and beefy, made a statement. From the curb, you saw the change. But that reflected on the inside and the outside. So I think the front door entryway was a package deal.
For sure. So in the living room, we nixed the steel windows, okay? We knew that was gonna 3 times our budget, so we cut that out, and I had such a good idea, and even Ben was like, no. Remember, you and the painter said, no, don't do it, and I said, let's do it. I really think it was going to be a good choice. So I wanted those, so it had doors, and the 3 doors, and then it had trim around it, and these little windows up above, the transom windows. I had this idea to make it feel like a bigger unit by painting the trim black, and it did turn out really good.
Hey, for the record, I think I was on board with painting the trim. I think the painter...
I've got video proof.
Well, then you need to submit that for review.
I'm gonna look for it, okay?
I think I was... But no, because the whole big room was just white.
Yeah.
Even the brick that was on the fireplace. And so we gave it hierarchy, we gave it focus towards the view out the back. These 3 separate doors were 3 dark, monumental, contrasting elements that gave hierarchy, gave interest, also changed hardware on those doors to gold.
Yeah,
not just
the
the
jewelry.
handles, but the hinges.
The hinges, yeah,
also
the
became the
hinges.
shiny gold. And so set it off.
It really was. Before, the doors were dark and it kind of lowered everything. But when you painted up above too, it made them feel like you almost had these 10-foot doors in there. It was really,
They were huge.
they were cool.
So what to do with the fireplace was a huge decision point. It was wrapped in brick, painted white, definitely of the farmhouse style. What are we going to do? So started looking at just the quotes to get the brick taken away. Okay, dusty, dirty, expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we had a direct vent fireplace that just vented out into the space, so it didn't have a flue or duct work through the roof. And so to add that, to do kind of the glass front,
We wanted to do a real
Fireplace.
sleek glass front like we had in our last house. That was,
all in all, what we ended up doing was just adding another wall out in front of the brick. We left the brick, added another wall, stud and sheetrock and everything in front of the brick, made it wider, gave it a little more sort of
presence.
commanding presence over the space, and painted it dark. Again, we needed a hierarchy, we needed less all white, and didn't quite take it to the ceiling. And so
why didn't we take it to the, I can't remember why we didn't. Was it just for design or was it going to get complicated as
a
we took
couple
it
of
up?
things. So we had a vaulted ceiling, and it's sometimes hard to kind of kill it into the ceiling and make it look good. It's hard to transition with crown or anything. I mean, you could do it. People do it. But we thought it was an opportunity to leave a little reveal of what was for future owners, even for us. We enjoyed it. So we stopped the wall shy of the full vault. We left a little space to put more uplights like we did in the kitchen. And so we could illuminate the brick that was original. So it's still
Yeah.
there, you can see it.
It was nice.
Super
It
cool.
gave that texture.
Moody. Gave a ton of interest and character.
Yeah.
And so we did that. And so all of that though, not tearing down the brick, not adding the new fireplace, probably saved us $15,000 to $20,000. So that was a budget-driven decision, but I like what we did way better.
Yeah,
We were
me
able to put a bigger TV up over it too because it made the wall bigger. And so that was good. We ended up reusing part of the original mantle. We used marble and brass accents. We actually enlarged the area around the fireplace so that we gave it depth and a chair so that you could, maybe from Front Gate or Pottery Barn or someplace, get a nice gold or some kind of stand to put in front of the
Like
fireplace if you have kids, babies.
Just because it was
or
going
jewelry.
to be an open flame. That's why we
Right.
wanted the glass front, but we have kids and a dog, and you could just, it seemed dangerous. So we built that ledge in so we could put something there to make it.
So we
a little
also
less
decided
dangerous.
not to make the big fireplace change because one, we're in Texas, but two, even in colder climates, we really don't use it that much. And so we thought this will be more than enough to leave. It was a smart budget-driven decision that ended up better in the end. And we pulled in some trim elements from over the doors, the double doors in the back. We kind of copied those for the crown on top of that fireplace wall. With respect to light fixtures in the living room, we had two big ones. We left the one over the dining area, and how did we spiff that up?
This is the light that we kept. It's very builder basic, but we added these shades on, which took it to that next level, a super easy change. And then even in the summertime or the holidays, we can change it out, but it ended up being one of my favorite lights.
It was really neat because you can change it every season if you wanted them to be. We had little gold ones, gold metal ones. We had black ones, and then we had some white ones. So in the summer we could add the white ones. In around Halloween we could add the black ones. So it was fun to change it out, but it really elevated the look with just the little shades. That surprised me, and that saved us.
Now,
a
those
lot.
shades, were those front gate shades?
No, Amazon.
Really? With the black and then the gold inside?
No, those were.
We did Amazon in the bedroom.
Those
right?
were Ballard,
Those were Ballard, so those were elevated shades. So we took a builder grade
but they
fixture,
still weren't expensive.
but they were more than the Amazon shades
Yeah.
we did in another room. And so we took a builder grade light, put an elevated metal shade on it, and loved how it
It
paired with our
looked-
restoration hardware table right underneath it.
It looked awesome.
Yeah.
It honestly, it just, I loved that light.
And the other big light in that room was the chandelier over kind of the living room area. We did invest in a new one there. All of these we waited for a sale to come along to get. because they were notable investments that you could make at various times. So you just got to move the furniture, have the contractor come in and change it out. But we did that with the lighting.
One of the biggest places we spent a lot of money was in our master bathroom. That's just another place that we spent a ton of time that we felt like was super valuable to really love being in there. So again, the brick floors were in there, and as much as we tried to experiment with painting the brick floor or just trying to work with it, it hurts your back just
I
to
couldn't walk on it.
It hurt your feet to walk on it. And then I was fighting him because I was trying to be cheap. And as we talked for about 20 minutes in there, I was like, my back is starting to hurt. And so we were just like, well, we can't. Okay, I agree. My back's hurting already. I can't even blow dry my hair in here. So in there, we got some really beautiful porcelain, really big pieces. Were they 32s by 32s? And because we did checkerboard in the kitchen and in the entryway, we didn't want to keep doing checker everywhere. We felt like it was a little too much. So we did this really large scale checker, which was awesome. In the end, we were worried. Ben was like, I don't know, and me too. But it was readily available. It was a good price, and it changed it up a little. I just really just felt like that room needed the black and white floors.
So that's another thing you can play with, scale. So we went
Yeah.
with the big scale checker. And so we changed out the vanities.
We did. We
and
had
we
our cabinet
had some
maker.
inspiration pictures. We showed them, added some reading, some different details. Obviously changed out hardware on that, and then we changed some light. I think all the light fixtures we changed probably were Amazon, or at least one was. Maybe not the vanity lights.
The vanity lights were visual comfort, but they were like
Okay.
an inexpensive, like they were like a lower level of.
And so those were small changes, but we made those decisions, and we felt this room just needs a little more pop, despite the floor.
The one thing this house we keep saying was missing was that luxurious touch, but this was Ben's idea.
So, well, now if you don't like it, it's my fault.
No,
It's
I
okay.
love it. I'm giving you this one.
No, it worked out good. So we did porcelain up the wall, and we did all black. Again, it was all white before. It really drew. We had some really nice windows looking out to the side garden and sitting area, and so it really drew that into focus.
Yeah,
Let it really pop in relationship with the inside and outside.
We just took the large floor tiles that we had, the black ones, and then we just did those on the wall. So
And on
it
those-
matched, and it felt like the floor went into the ceiling.
And we were able to just, again, we were working with a contractor, so we made decisions that were appropriate. And then here, we didn't have to change backer board, for example. We just put it right on the sheetrock, and it turned out great. But we did do marble in there, right, on the countertops.
Yeah, we did. Another thing that just, builder grade, you just miss those luxurious touches. So we did splurge on some beautiful Arabescado marble that had some gold in there to really pull in the staining of the cabinet, and then some grays. So it really cut the black and white, and then really kind of gave us that warmth and that texture that the room really needed.
But it
And-
was marble, and so we knew we were going to spill things on it. So what did we
Yeah.
do to protect it?
So we had Tough Skins come. Tough Skins it's basically a stone laminate that adheres to the top. It seems weird, like it's just gonna cover the surface like a contact paper almost. But you can't see it. It was awesome. We didn't have to worry about when we got toothpaste on it or face wash, something that might usually etch marble. So we tested out marble vanities with the Tough Skins, and it was awesome.
This was a place that we saved as well, was on the faucets. These were from Amazon. They look beautiful, they look high-end, but they were very affordable. We added this beautiful hardware from Grandeur all through the house. You can pick your colors, you can pick the materials, but we loved the black gems. I'm actually missing these handles already. They're so pretty, but it really is jewelry. They look like black jewels, but it looked awesome here in this bathroom. Just changing some of those little hardware changes like handles and knobs and lighting can really elevate and make your home look a lot more luxurious.
So we were putting all this effort into the rest of the house with these micro upgrades. We had to do something to the kids' rooms. And so we chose to do just a few basic upgrades. We added paneling on the walls and then painted it still white, but a lot of extra detail and character. We picked a fun blue and we painted doors. So here We blend in the hallway to the common space, we're still white, but you close the door. We've got a fun blue, of course, with our hardware that we continued throughout. Closets, we actually painted the whole door blue, so if it was open, it was still fun. We also changed out with some more modern, sleek-looking fans that had light-changing options, and then just a better fan, better looking, super quiet because it was brand new. Added the curtain and rod. And then we come into the bathroom. And so this was a Jack and Jill kids setup. So we painted the vanities the same blue. We did a neat little black handle hardware. We did mix metals, but it was okay. It still looks good. We painted their bathroom doors to continuation of their space and keep that fun vibe going. Same new hardware changes. Same thing on this vanity. And again, the exact same treatment in this room as we did the other one for the boys. Whole blue door, but then again on this one, facing the public space, we're white here, we're white on the edge, but then we're blue when we close it, and we've got a complete space that's upgraded pretty simply, things you could even do on your own, but also things we did that, while we were living there.
We didn't do very much in the office, but we made a few changes that made a big impact to take it to that next level. First off, we took off the sliding door. The barn door was just very dated. It just felt very farmhousey. We actually painted the back cabinets this glossy black, which really made it feel so beautiful and luxe. We added the gold hardware on top, so that really made it feel like the Broadmoor house. Also, we changed out the ceiling fan to a really beautiful chandelier, which really elevated the whole thing.
So I think it's important for the guy to say this, and that is, this wasn't just a money deal. It wasn't about return on investment. It really clicked for me when we finally got the outside done, and in particular, the landscaping done. Let's take a look at a few things outside. So this back porch really was a paint job. And so we did take out the old fireplace that impacted the butler pantry, but out here you can see the other side of what we did on the inside of the living room. So this was the stained doors. We painted all of that black. Of course, the gold hardware that was inside, you can see outside. We already had black window frames on the outside, so that matched. The ceiling, though, was white. And then these columns were also a stained cedar, so we painted those black. So the only indication here that there used to be a fireplace really is this faint outline where there used to be a brick sort of mantle base come out. But we closed it in. We already had a white painted house, so painting over the brickwork, you really never know what was there. So with landscaping in the backyard, we already had some trees that were here from the previous owners. Again, they're only a few years old, but we kept it simple with landscaping. We've got some holly bushes, some azalea-like bushes, but we just picked about 3 different bushes throughout on this project and just did them everywhere in select locations. So maybe one of the things we're saddest about leaving, at least from a landscaping standpoint, is these Peggy Martin roses. It took forever to find, and then we finally planted them, got them going. But their blooms feel like a light pink. Man, they look great next to these Vitex trees that just grow out of control. So one of our first projects out here, really at the property before we even moved in, was this area out here. There was such great potential. These planter beds were really back in here, and there wasn't nearly as much space over here. We thought, wow, we can move these over, create a little space for an outdoor table. We got all these magnolia trees. We kind of framed the space and gave a nice soft green evergreen background. I tied in pretty simply the sprinkler system to what I already had in the raised flower beds. But at the end of the day, when this is blooming with herbs and flowers, you can come sit out here in a really nice space, and it looks like that year round with the evergreen magnolias. Landscaping is expensive. We all know that. And so we managed that on this project a couple of ways. One, the crepe myrtles, or the trees, so to speak, that we had, even this little Japanese maple that we had, we kept all of those, but we gutted the flower beds that really weren't that done up as it was. But again, I picked a bunch of hardy hollies that I knew would do well in our climate. I had this bush that I just accented in front of windows. And so to economically fill the space, provide some depth and hierarchy, just arrange these grasses that I knew would get big and bushy to fill between the evergreen bushes around the perimeter and kind of work our way up to the nice Japanese maple that was already there. So up front, we painted a few things black as well. We had the doors that were stained. We had the columns here that are black, and then that little beam across the top, that was stained. These supports coming out over these windows, these were stained, kind of an orangey stain color like it all was. So painting all of those stained pieces black really made this a true black and white house, which is pretty trendy, but it really shored up, again, that feeling, not only interior but exterior, that we were going for to make this place more us.
So by the time we changed all of the wooden accents to black and we added that polished brass front door hardware, it completely changed the whole look of the house. It went from farmhouse to luxury, and it was beautiful.
Pulling up to the house, there was just this, it felt like a new place. It felt like a place you wanted to run home to. And when you're having to make the decisions and justify, I just moved here, this is still a pretty new house, why in the world should we consider changing it? If it's not you, that might be enough, because whether you're living by yourself or whether it's you and your family, loving where you live, it matters more than any guy wants to admit. I think the women are all over that one. But at the end of the day,
it's where you make the most memories for your family. At the end of the day, that's where you eat dinner at night with your family. It's where you wake up in the morning. It's where you spend the most special times of your life when you're not at work and you're with your family. And it feels good to be in a place you feel good in. And it feels good to be in a place that feels like you. And that's justification enough to love your home enough to spend a little bit to get it where you love it.
During COVID, it was DIY, and we had more time, and we wanted to, improve the spaces we were stuck in. Now, we're kind of stuck in houses that we need to stay in for other reasons. And the improvement to the spaces, the quality of the spaces, you don't feel like you have to DIY it. If that's what you can do and you can save that way, then great. But we also have lives to live. So we love to do DIY.
Yeah, I feel like people feel like if they can do the DIY, they should do it. Or they shouldn't do it if they don't know how to do it. Like, this should be a DIY. I see people on Instagram putting wood on their walls. Well, it's okay to either be able to do it and not want to do it, or not be able to do it and want to hire someone. So we pretty much hired the whole thing out, even though we were pretty capable of doing most of it ourselves.
We really were, and where the rubber met the road was, how are we going to get it done? We didn't have the time. We both worked full-time running the things we do, and we have kids and sports all over the place.
We needed it done quickly.
We had to get it done.
And we didn't want to do it. At the end of the day.
I wanted to do it.
No.
It wasn't happening.
You didn't want to DIY it. We didn't want to do it. We didn't want to do it.
And so we needed to get it done. That's another thing that I'm super guilty of, and that is, we can do it, I'll do it, we need to save, but it never gets done. And lo and behold, months have gone by, we don't have the quality space we deserve, we're missing memories in that space, or even worse, I started it and it's half done. And I've got light sockets off that the kids could, stick their fingers in or whatever,
man,
which we've done several times.
We had that from one DIY project for like a year, I
there
feel
might
like.
be one place we have that still has some of that. But at the end of the day, I would encourage everybody to do what you can. Don't be afraid to tackle fixtures and finishes that can totally change the feel of a space. Don't be afraid to take it one room or one project at a time. Think about the impact to your family, because especially if you're living in the space, you realistically got to figure out, how do we get this done? And so it was totally worth it for us. It was not a big remodel. We didn't even have to get a permit for anything we did. Nothing was structural. We didn't add anything tremendous. It was really minor changes that totally changed the interior and exterior feel of the house. So when we look back on what we did over the span of just really a couple of months, it feels like we totally remodeled our house. We touched most spaces, not all, but it was light changes, micro upgrades, this movement that we're a part of we didn't even know, and maybe you are too, Or maybe you're about to be.
So we went from hating to look at the place. I hated to look at that entryway. I hated to look at the kitchen. I hated the bathroom, to I could not stop staring at the kitchen. I wanted to be in there. I couldn't wait to cook in there. I felt like we had this brand new house that was ours, and it completely changed everything for us. One of the things that we really struggled with, and I wonder if you guys struggle with the same thing, is you want to love your home, but you justify it in your brain. You say, I can't do that because it's new. It's a new house and it's perfectly fine. Those cabinets are fine. The backsplash is fine. It's hard to justify that extra cost. And you feel like maybe we should just move. Maybe we should just buy a new house. Maybe this house isn't for us. The way that the economy is right now, it's not super conducive to just going out and buying a new house. Your interest rate may be super amazing on this house, and now you're going to have to get one that is 2-3 times, even plus that, more of what you're spending right now. So it is okay to justify changing out some of those things that seem new and fine, and to make it a place that you love to be. Make it a place that you love to come home and cook for your family in the evening time. A place that you love to have family game night. A place that you feel confident and excited to invite your friends over to. It is okay to change those things out and to make the place that you live a place that you love to be. Hey friends, did you love our new video today? Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any Broadmoor moments.